competition Gran Coupe cooling itself off after a very brief stint on the highway. And I promise you, I am not abusing the car, although it would be extremely easy to do so. Now, I was very much looking forward to driving the M8 Gran Coupe for an entire week, if mostly because I have fallen hard under the spell of the 850, the M850i Coupe and convertible, which I've driven over the last couple of years. In fact, it quickly became one of, there we go, it's nice and cool now. It quickly became one of my favorite large luxury GT cars. I mean, I've driven the Aston Martin Vantage and a few others, and above all, for the price, the performance, the styling, everything about the car made it one of my favorites. And I was absolutely expecting the M8 competition in Gran Coupe form to blow my mind. I am, in fact, the father of two, and I'm, well, I'm just more attracted to the sedan type vehicle. And although this car is fantastic and unbelievable, I have a hard time somewhat with why it exists. It's kind of strange in a way because there are other cars in BMW's lineup, M5, that challenge this car on so many, all levels about that, and it's far less expensive. Anyhow, we'll do a quick walk around, and then we'll do a very quick little road trip in the car, you and I together. We'll go over a few things that make this car very special and not at the same time. Okay, so before going into pricing information and all of that, I just want to touch on styling. Essentially, the M8 Gran Coupe is exactly what you see here, and to be quite honest, it's deceptively small-ish looking. It's so sleek and it's so low and profiled that you think the car is mid-size-ish, but believe me you, it's actually just over 5 meters long, which I think works out to about 17 feet and change or whatever. And in fact, the M8 Gran Coupe compared to the Coupe and the Cabrio is just about, what, 230 millimeters longer overall, which works out to an inch. Most of that being between the axles, because this is now a 4-door, 4-seater, super high, ultra luxurious performance car. And everything else you see on the car, the front aero, the massive tailpipes, the wonderfully integrated little lip spoiler on the trunk lid there, the flared out fenders, everything else is included except these 19-inch wheels, which are wonderfully shod with the Pilot Alpine winter tires. Normally you get 20-inch wheels included for the price. Now, as far as the price is concerned, I will not go over all the 8 Series versions. Suffice it to say that the US has many more options than in Canada, but that's fine. We in Canada love our M cars and love to pay top dollar. So, in the US, M8 Gran Coupe, $130,000 to start. If you want the competition package, which is optional, you have to spend an extra $13,000. In Canada, well, for 2021, there's an M8 competition Gran Coupe at $158,000, and that's that. That's right, there's only one version, and you know what? That's fine. What do you get for that kind of money? 12.3-inch instrument display, a digital instrument cluster, you know what I'm saying. Way to go, 10.25-inch touchscreen display, the aforementioned 20-inch wheels. My tester has the executive package because if you want cooled seats, you gotta pay a little bit more for a grand total of $161,500. Now, keep in mind in Canada, an M5 competition is $122,000. Power operated, no need to see that. Beautiful interior. I'll actually get in. The funny thing about getting in and out is the actual bolstering on this. So you gotta kind of do a knee jerk to get over, and then you can slide in. But once you're in place, the amount of legroom is unbelievable, and that's my driving position. Lovely dash. This is truly a luxurious 2+2. Actually, no, it's an actual real 4-seater. Beautiful attention to detail because of the fact that there's no real room in the middle. Although there are enough seat belts, I don't think I'd allow anyone to sit back here at any given time. But what's important to know is that if you're over 5'10", you will have a problem fitting back here. Now to get out, same thing. You got to do the knee jerk over the bolstering. And, well, in my case, struggle to get out a little bit. Up front anyways, where you'll spend most of your time. Oh, frameless doors, love that. Just in case you forget what it is you are driving. Look, it's beautiful in here. Fantastically supportive seats. We'll just get in. Now, red is a little bit of a theme in here. Well, at least some of the most important buttons are red. Namely, this one and that one. So here we are, your 12.3 inch instrument display, your 10.25 inch touchscreen display. Everything else here is very typical BMW with the HVAC and the audio controls. Here's your iDrive command center, if you will. Now, what you need to know in this car is that if you are not into selecting your drive modes and configuring the way you want your car to behave, you will be miserable in this car because there are so many options. Just right here. So you have your M modes, your setup, and this is a very important button as well. Now what's very cool is on the fly, you can modify whatever you want as you're rolling. It's quite impressive. You can also just select whichever one you want, have it pre-programmed, have your M1. You have your M2 button, which is your total hooning button. Well, that's not entirely true, in fact. If you go back to the main screen, for example, if you do this, press and hold, there you go. So now you can configure your xDrive all-wheel drive system, and that's when you have access to that. Yes, my friend, thanks to the M active differential, you can do some serious hooning about. Look, everything else about the interior of this car is uber ultra premium. You do feel like you're sitting very low. I am in the lowest position as always, but you are in command of an absolute weapon as you're out there driving. There isn't much else. Oh yeah, this button is kind of interesting. You can individually change the shifting intensity of the transmission. I'll tell you a little bit more about all of this in a few moments, but this is a beast. It's an actual beast, and I'll tell you more. Oh yeah, there's your heads-up display also included. I'll tell you more right now. All right, so as we set off in the M8 Gran Coupé Les Compétitions, I want you to know and understand that at the moment, all of my drive modes is at the default original screen, if you will. So everything is on comfort or efficient or just normal, and obviously all-wheel drive is on for good measure. I've played with the drive modes on a number of occasions. I did try the two-wheel drive in a parking lot, but I swear I was going in a straight line only, I promise. I'm just clearing my throat. What? Look, they designed the car to do this, so it has to be tested, correct? But look, frankly, most of my driving has been done in, well, I configured my M1 button to have, obviously, the xDrive in four-wheel drive. The braking is on comfort, which is adjustable, which when it's on sport, I don't like the pedal feel. It's even more artificial because this is 100% brake-by-wire or just about, and I don't like the feeling of that. Steering is also on comfort. I'm sorry, well, that was a lie. On sport, I'm staring at it too. That's the worst part. The chassis is on comfort, which is an absolute must. And finally, the engine, well, it has to be on sport just to get a little bit more of that punch. I'll get right to the punch. It's a competition, which means that it has 617 horsepower, or 17 more than the non-competition version of the twin-scroll, twin-turbocharged 4.4 liter V8 engine. So all that horsepower comes in at 6,000 RPM. So this is a happy screamer, if you will, and it generates 553 pound-feet of torque, which is unchanged over the regular version. from 1800 all the way to 5600 RPM. Look, the car is insanely fast, and more frightening than anything is that once you start going fast, the M8 just wants to go faster, and it's so sustained, the accelerative force, that you think you're gonna run out of highway before you run out of power. The thing will do 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in about 3.2 seconds. So this is a 3-second flat car, 260 miles per hour. It's fast. It's not unnervingly fast. But before I say what I really think about the power, I want to say that the M adaptive suspension. Now, keeping in mind that this is an M8 competition, this is not a regular M8. And it's certainly not an M850i, which is a good thing. I'll get to it in a moment. It's very civilized, far more so than I expected. The dampers set in comfort are actually comfortable enough for the daily drive. Now, contrary to some AMG cars where even when the dampers are set to comfort, you're still bouncing around and the ride is totally, absolutely uncomfortable. Not so in the M8. Maybe if the car had the standard 20-inch wheels with an even lower profile, summer tires, maybe the ride would be harsher. In fact, I'm pretty sure that would be the case. But as is right now with the 19s, the ride is very, very good. There's M Sport exhaust, obviously, and look. The M Steptronic transmission is an angry tool, but it doesn't always have to be, because like I showed you the button, you can always adjust the shift intensity, if you will. It'll just bang away or glide away from one gear to another, and then you can always just use the paddle shifters to get really into it. A few ways you can do that. You can just use the paddles, or you can always just slide the transmission over into S, or just tap it to the side, which is also drive. And I'm just gonna go back to automatic, it's just simpler. And as much or as big a smile as this car will put on my face, as uber cool and aggressive and visually imposing this car is, it's I don't understand why anyone would spend over $35,000 more for an M8 competition over an M5 competition. If mostly because an M5 is the original luxury supercar. It has history, pedigree, and delivers near identical performance in this car. I think they're 1/10 off. Now that's one. Two, the power is fantastic. It's extraordinary, absolutely. But to spend, again, $35,000 or so more for this over an M850i, for a car that is about 0.8 of a second faster to 100 kilometers an hour, give or take. The exact numbers I don't recall. I apologize for that. That doesn't compute either. This is kind of the car, the M8 competition, that sits in a hole that nobody's ever looked down on. I mean, it does feel like bringing a tank to a game of dodgeball. But BMW has other cars that are as quick or almost, far less expensive, just as exclusive. I mean, I don't know about you, but now the road is getting really, really bad. Really, really, really bad. But I don't see 8 Series coupes or convertibles, the M850i, I mean, on the road very rarely. or I see them very rarely is what I should say. So it's not more exclusive because it'll probably sell as many anyway. I'm kind of going on here because I love the car, but I can't find myself being in love with the car because of the M850i, which you can get in Gran Coupe as well, and the M5. Two cars that are almost identically priced, if I'm not mistaken. 35 grand cheaper than this, and you get almost exactly everything you get in this car. It's a strange one. It's a very strange one. It's cool, but it's strange.